Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Prep Life. Let's talk about the news. Biden visits Ukraine. It's the first time in modern American history that a president has visited a war zone that didn't involve American troops. I mean, the national media is running with this, and I don't understand why it's so exciting for them when we are in a proxy war with Russia, when China is deciding whether to allow lethal support to the Russians, and we have Chinese balloons traveling over our country, doing EMP tests, EMP evaluations of the airspace. I don't get it. Here's what I'll say. Pretty ballsy of Biden to do that. That's exciting for him. He needs all the PR he can get. According to national polls, 12% of Democrats want Biden to run again in 2024. Not looking very good for him in a running in 2024. China right now is deciding whether or not to offer lethal support to the Russians. What would that mean? Well, that would mean we literally are using Ukraine as a chessboard for a proxy war. It's already happening right now on a smaller scale, but this is only going to progressively evolve. And what does that mean for us? Well, it means potentially World War III. Like, I can't stress this enough. Like, a lot of people think a balloon is just a balloon. It's no big deal. I'm comfortable in my house. It's climate controlled. I'm living my best life. But I will tell you, that mindset, that ideology will lead you to failure. It's a September 10th mindset, which will get us in trouble. I'm not asking you to be panicked. I'm not asking you to be out of control. I'm asking you to be prepared and consider that you likely need to get involved in your local legislation and federal legislation and making the right decisions moving forward. If you voted for Biden, man, I would say at this point, like a lot of people told you so. Most people think that I'm a Republican. I'm an independent, and I vote for the best person. Biden certainly has demonstrated he's not the best person. So when we look at this visit to Ukraine, what does it mean? Well, for President Zelensky, having the American president be all in for the rest of time. He said, we are in this as long as this is going on. We are with you. What? So he just also, at the same time, promised $500 million additional dollars. Here's what's ironic, guys. He traveled on a train for 10 hours to get to Kiev. Man, it would be nice to have a train that you could drive in or roll in for 10 hours because the infrastructure is working pretty well. I mean, we have this Ohio derailment debacle going on in our own backyard, and no national media, no attention from anybody from the White House. I mean, Pete Buttigieg, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not even going to try. It's pretty funny, his last name. But Pete, the transportation secretary, is saying we're going to hold the railways accountable. How about you hold yourself accountable, because the infrastructure is your responsibility, not this company. Also, if you've seen it recently, a lot of experts from the EPA have said there's no problem, no issues. But other experts from this vinyl chloride that was released in the atmosphere on purpose are saying when you ignite vinyl chloride, it changes things. I don't know, the ash with the chemical in it landing on the surface of everything, and including water, and killing animals, and then polluting and contaminating the entire universe around that space. Like, guys, we just wore masks for an extended period of time because of COVID-19 and realized later, or after the fact, the conspiracy theorists were right because the masks don't actually work. And here we are debating whether or not the APA thinks this is a serious act or impact to the environment. It certainly is. All the experts are pointing at that, except the experts in the federal government who are saying, yeah, it's no big deal. Like, not a big deal. Just continue to live your best life as their animals, their domesticated animals, are dying in their backyards. So when I look at this visit, I also have just read into an article about the need for the Department of Defense to let manufacturers of armament, including munitions, anti-tank missiles, and rockets, to boost by a 5x is what they need, 5 times, all of their manufacturing processes. Why would that be important for Americans to know? I don't know, because we're talking about pistol braces and confiscating pistol braces and SBRs because it's illegal, because that's what we're worried about domestically, because assault pistols are a thing, but we're making munitions for a proxy war that most Americans want to support, but don't support not being informed what this means strategically for the future of America. Like, it would be nice if the precedent, the only precedent that was set was him going into a war zone where American troops are not. But I wish you would set a precedent of coming back and advising or communicating to the American people what this looks like for the future of our country. And here's what's going to happen. We are setting up our next president, because there will be a next. We are setting up that next president for failure. I personally think it's going to be DeSantis. That's just me. I listened to him yesterday on Fox and Friends. He was talking about how he would not announce that he was running for president, but he was focused on issues like supporting law enforcement. Because we see how woke ideology in most of the epicenters where domestic violence, civil unrest took place, where peaceful protests turned into war zones, we see how anti-police rhetoric turned out for our country. He's getting out there, hitting the streets, including New York City, and talking about how we need to invest in law enforcement and our communities, which is what you should be doing if you're a politician. I thought it was really cool that he said, when asked about criticism, he said, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I should be getting criticized. I should be getting the opinions. Most legislators don't do anything about it. Most people running for government or in government just barely get by. They don't push any agendas, because pushing agendas will get you in trouble or criticized. And if you're a government official doing the work, the good work of the people, then you should be getting criticized, which I agree with. Being on the forefront or of movements, getting out there and making it your role and position to better this country comes with criticism. Just in Montana, at Kalispell and Black Rifle Coffee Company, which is Andy Stump's and Leah Stump's Black Rifle Coffee, with their business partner Denver. Amazing time, guys. Thank God for Montana. I mean, never go to Montana. Don't move there. It sucks. I had a great time. I had the opportunity to speak to a few hundred people at Andy's Black Rifle Coffee, and it was an amazing experience. Such good, positive feedback, getting out there, communicating about preparedness. So much so, I'll be back. I already signed up for it. I'll be back 12 May, 13 May. One, giving another preparedness seminar talking about mobility. We'll actually give a block of instruction and how to apply a tourniquet, which will take 10 minutes of your time. And also teaching a class on Saturday with Andy Stump's wife, Leah, who is a black belt at a local jiu-jitsu studio. She's also, I won't spoil it, but on YouTube, on Fieldcraft Survival, we have a new video coming out featuring some of her experiences where we do a reacts to a self-defense video. You guys see the video where this guy comes into the gym. This lady who's working out, she lets him in, and then she gets attacked by him. Now, the guy, apparently, according to Leah and some observation that we did in the reacts, looks like has a wrestling background. I mean, he did he dropped levels, he did a double leg takedown and got her in, she got him in, he got in mount, he was in her guard, and she was able to kind of maneuver out of the situation, but doesn't look like she was trained, at least from an institution. And we talk about some of the best tactics of getting back to your feet, building structure in your body to prevent getting mauled by somebody, even somebody who outweighs you. That will be up on Fieldcraft Survivals. But it's going to be an honor to teach personal security with her and some good people in Montana. I'm super excited about it. One of the things that I wanted to go into today, and not just specifically focusing on EDC versus mobility versus homestead, is financial independence or financial preparedness. I had a good friend of Andy Stump's talk to me. He does a lot of development on the backside in warehouses in Kalispell. You would never think these warehouses were full of millions of dollars of equipment that were evolving some textile industries. but he has a super brain. I mean, this guy is very talented. Had the opportunity to talk to him about financial independence and how that is one of the first steps that you need to understand in living your prep life. I know a lot of us like to focus on EDC and all these things, but man, it is so impactful if you understand how to navigate your financial situation. When I did a poll on home defense versus this, home defense really outweighed financial preparedness because financial preparedness is boring. I'll try to make it interesting for you, but also you should know home defense is equally as important. I mean, there are 2.5 million break-ins last year, and it's something that we should pay attention to because it's only getting worse. The statistics are going up when it comes to violent crime and robberies, including home invasion. So we need to talk about that. Let me talk a little bit about mindset and resilience. Usually we talk about mindset resilience and something that you could do every single day. I tweeted about this. I hate to say that out loud. It's kind of embarrassing to say that. But I tweeted about it at Mike A. Glover 1, at Mike A. Glover 1, my Twitter account. I like Twitter because I could fire and forget. I never read or rarely read the comments. But I said, most will dream, few will act. You get one life. You have all the tools between your ears. Let's go. Now, a lot of people talk about being successful, and it's really easy to talk about success when you are successful. A little bit more difficult along the journey when trying to be successful. But here's what I've understood about my own journey and being successful. I never reach a pinnacle. You never reach a pinnacle. Like you go to Ranger school and you get the Ranger tab because you went to a school that was very difficult, and that's just the start point. It's like Special Forces selection. Like that's the start point. Doing the job, being a professional, doing the job well over a period of time, that's more difficult to do. So there is no pinnacle of success. It's an active process. And you have the tools at your disposal between your ears. It's called your brain. And making the right decisions, being proactive and conscious about your habits, right? If you make the right habits integrated into your life over time, this will lead to success. A lot of people talk about the Malcolm Gladwell Outliers book where it talks about 10,000 hours or a decade overtime of being talented or gifted. Most people think that being gifted comes with a gift that was given to you at birth or through your childhood. That's not true. Most cases of success and where we think somebody was gifted actually came from hard work. Like if you said to me, 6 Hour shooters, Max Michelle, Lena, Jerry, Dan Horner, they're gifted. I would say no, they're not gifted. I knew Dan Horner 15 years ago when he was a private in the Army Marksmanship Unit. When Max Michelle was a squad leader in AMU doing demonstrations and teaching Army units to be better, where he was learning and mastering his craft. Now he's designated the expert, but he put in the hard work. You might look at me, we just did a Fieldcraft Survival Shooter Coach video on our YouTube channel, which if you're not a member, or if you're not subscribed, go subscribe and hit the notification tab because Fieldcraft Survival's education is there for you. But when you look at me teaching and training, I'm just figuring it out, guys. Certainly, I own a training company and we're semi-successful, depending on how you look at success and training Americans across the country. But a lot of things I learned, it took me 20 years to learn. So you have to be willing to invest the time over time, and that could be 10,000 hours. It could be a decade of your time. Please get off your ass and do something about it. I would say that as well. When we look at financial preparedness, like I'm going to hold on, guys. I know some of you are like, I came for the home defense. Buy into the financial preparedness because it will help you. Let's talk about it. I got a few pro tips for you and some things that I learned along the way. Minimize spending and offload material crap that you don't need. So a lot of people forget when you adjust your levels of income. When I was a private in the Army, I kind of lived in the same position that I do now as far as lifestyle is concerned, because we tend to often change our spending habits depending on how much income we make. So if you continue to spend at the same spending habits, no matter what the income is going to be, you're still going to be living check to check, whether you're a private in the Army or a successful entrepreneur. Your material crap is just going to increase. And certainly I've gone through that. Like I live in a pretty big house with a whole bunch of crap that I don't need. Now, a lot of the crap I have is for my kids. So I spent a lot of time spending less money on crap and more money where I could benefit myself and my family through investments like liquid assets, material things that I could offload for cash, but that don't depreciate. It's one of the reasons why I have air-cooled Porsches. It's a great excuse to buy air-cooled Porsches, but I bought air-cooled Porsches. I owned 3 of them when they were $20,000 a pop. Guys are like, oh, it must be nice to have an air-cooled Porsche. You likely drive a $60,000 median vehicle. The average cost of a vehicle is $60,000. You likely own that. I own 3 of those, $20,000 a piece that I bought years ago that are now worth $80,000 to $100,000 a piece as an investment. I enjoy them. It's part of my hobby. I'm a car guy, but also I'm sitting on things that I can move for cash anytime I need. Now, you might want to diversify a little bit in material objects, but don't get carried away. Something about firearms, which I think is beneficial, is buy them, never sell them. Keep and hold them. If you sell one, buy another one. But if I have these firearms, I have them and they're liquid assets and something that mostly doesn't depreciate. The more the merrier. Have options, have choices, and have investments. But a lot of the stuff that you need, that you have, do you need? Likely not. Another tip is know what you spend and bookkeep. My mom is a entrepreneur in North Carolina and bookkeeps every single day and every single week by hand. That is important because if you want to be very good at anything, you need to be vulnerable to what's taking place, conscious to what's taking place. It's like wanting to be fit, but not be willing to look at yourself in the mirror or look at the calorie intake or look at the output of what you're getting better or worse at. You need some analytics. When you hand jam and write out your budget, I do a lot of it on my phone, but when you do it by hand, you also see your vulnerabilities. Like, oh my God, I'm spending $250 at Starbucks. Well, you should be spending $150 at Black Rifle Coffee, not $250 on Starbucks, but true story, that happened. Like, what? Like, holy crap, you're spending $250 a month there? How many subscriptions do you have that you don't need to invest in? I want you to invest in my Patreon, in Fieldcraft Survival's app, in Apogee with Tim Kennedy. I want you to invest in those things because that will bring you a return on investment, but I don't want you to overinvest in things that you're not using, like your Hulu account. I mean, Amazon Prime, because a lot of good stuff's on Amazon Prime, including documentaries that I watch, and the Terminal List. Netflix, I do that. HBO now, because that zombie apocalypse show. What the hell's the name of that show? If you know the name of that show, leave it in the comments below. But the name of that show is below in comments. And it's one of my favorites because you could see kind of like zombie apocalypse survival preparedness stuff. But I subscribe, I think it's to HBO Plus or HBO because of that show. That's fine. But how much do you invest in things that aren't giving you a return on your investment or providing you any value? I mean, my Patreon is like $25 a month. You likely spend that on Monster energy drinks at your local gas station per month. So something that I've done is I've diversified investing not only in my employees, but investing in myself. Like I'm getting my pilot's license. Yes, I have to pay associated cost, even though I have FTI Group providing me with a academic scholarship. It's not free to get the iPad and to do certain things that are going to make me a better pilot. Why am I doing that? Well, because I want to make myself better, and I want to invest in that. But you don't have to overinvest to do that. 10 to 20% of your overall income you should be putting away. Right? It's money in, money out. If you don't set aside money, you're not going to get ahead. And if you budget, bookkeep, you will start to see where that money's going and realize, oh, man, I'm just getting by. I'm just getting by. Also diversified by side hustling. Guys, a lot of you are very talented in whatever you do, right? You have talents. A lot of the things that I did early on at Fieldcraft Survival were based on those talents, and I took advantage of them integrating into marketing, technology, social media, and understanding how business would benefit me. If you're spending 4 hours on Instagram every day, then why don't you allocate 3 hours and 45 minutes to running a side hustle to make yourself more revenue? With all the ease of setting up a business, whether it's an application, the business structure even, Shopify, which it's crazy that I'm even plugging Shopify after they kicked me off the platform. But you could get these businesses set up relatively easy and side hustle. You got a hobby that you enjoy, you got an eBay account, whatever it is, do something that you love, but make an extra couple thousands of dollars of income to benefit you in your situation financially. So if you're spending money from your income on things that are digging a hole deeper in financial debt, which is about $38,000 for the average American, man, offset those costs by making more revenue through a side hustle. Oh, 80% of this country is in debt, by the way, out of the 360 plus million people who live here. Put your money in liquid assets. I said that, but convert it into cash when able. Be smart about where you invest your money. Be smart about where you put your money, because you don't want to put all your money, all your eggs in one basket. I keep a certain amount of cash on hand just in case the cash bank system collapses, and I also barter. Like I'm all about the bartering system. I wish I had a bartering app, but it would get weird because people suck. But I wish I had a bartering app where you could barter with friends and family. But you could do that on social. I did a social experiment on honey because I harvested a lot of honey, and I bartered from everything from silver dollars to ammunition to jelly, canned or jarred canned jelly. Don't get jarred jelly. Don't get canned jelly. That would not be good. But if you do that and you're bartering and you're offsetting some of the cost through getting rid of things that you don't need, investing it in things you do need, take that investment and invest it in areas of preparedness, like jar sets, canning, hunting, preparedness education, tactical training, first aid equipment, your go rig, your mobility platform. Those will be good places to invest. Guys, mobility is coming up. Our mobility June course is coming up, and I am getting prepped for our winter mobility in a few days. We're teaching this weekend. It's going to be amazing. It's a sold-out course. Have Clay Croft from Expedition Overland, a good friend of ours and one of the leaders in providing content and education for overlanders. We'll have Kurt Williams, Land Cruiser Heritage Foundation, one of the founders and advisors. Also owns Land Cruiser Outfitters down in Salt Lake City. Has been on these major expeditions through the globe, has a lot of experience. The Bowen Custom Brothers. They own Bowen Customs. They're going to be at our course. I'm going to have those guys do a loadout class, show their loadout setup, which is going to be really cool. And then we're going to do a lot of education on survival, first aid, the list goes on. In June, our mobility course, we're offering motorcycle education as well on bug out considerations, on living and operating off of a motorcycle. We'll have Kyle Cooper from Backcountry Motor Adventures. Check out his YouTube channel below. He'll be providing some of that education, and we'll be doing blocks of instruction on riding motorcycles. Guys, I've owned a motorcycle my entire life, either Harleys, adventure bikes, or dirt bikes. And part of my job in the military, running a reconnaissance team, a sniper reconnaissance team, was we had a platform to include UTVs, Polaris UTVs, side-by-sides, and motorcycles. So I look forward to sharing some of that education with you. Come check us out at Overland Expo as well, where we'll be highlighting some of that stuff in our booth. March 4th, I have a leadership seminar with Andy Stumpf and Jared Taylor from Black Rifle Coffee in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, March 4th. You could sign up for that. I told you about March 12th or May 12th and 13th. My book launch party is June 6th, but we'll also be doing one on Saturday on June 10th at Andy Stumpf's Black Rifle Coffee Shop in Kalispell, Montana. If you're just listening to this and you haven't been taking advantage of our sales, we have a sale going on right now called 2 is 1. That is available right now until, I believe, Friday at midnight, where it's like buy one, get one free. If you buy an ankle holder, you get an additional one for free, which is all mobility centric. Make sure you tune into that. Lastly, guys, let's talk about home defense. Home defense or self-defense. I was going to tell you about my setup. Let me go ahead and pick it up right now. Oh, God, this thing is heavy. So I don't have a relationship with this company, Pine World. I just bought it offline. Uses biometrics to open this box, and then I have access to cash. I have access to ammo, my magazine, a couple other items in here. But it uses biometrics, which is the keypad. It uses a punch pad, and then it uses a key at all contingencies to each other. Now, you saw me pull out the magazine. Now, why would I just pull out a magazine? Well, it's because I have this on my dresser solo. Now, this is my pistol that's solo with no magazine. And most of you should certainly say, like, why would you ever do that? And it's because I have kids, guys. I have kids. If you don't have a kid, then you don't really understand. And speaking from somebody who has kids now who thought he used to understand about these kind of things, now I get it. So my kids who are 3.5 years old and they get into everything, like everything, they will find a way. If you're not watching them 24 hours a day, including when they wake up in the morning or even go to bed at night where you think they're asleep and they break out of the room and they get into everything, you will never have a loaded gun in the vicinity of them ever. And so one of the things I thought about was I could take this pistol. This is a 320 X Carry Legion, one of my favorite pistols, especially for home defense because I like a full-size pistol because I have all the accessory space and can put this can on. This is a SIG, one of my favorite cans, Mod X9 can. It's super light, but it also breaks down by baffles. Like I could unscrew this, which I don't have the tool for it, but I could break it down and make it shorter. And it has a red dot, surefire light, all the things that I need. I would keep this separate because I don't want a loaded gun in a box. If my kids somehow, some way, and they're very crafty and creative, broke in and they found that gun, I could never live with myself if something happened. I just wouldn't. So in home defense, because I'm not thinking about immediate action, it's not like I would. The statistical probability of me having a situation where there's a guy standing over me with a gun is very unlikely. I have advertised and unadvertised technological or technical means of surveillance and overwatch on my house. That's through my Vivint security camera. That's through sensors. That's through locking mechanisms. That's through a whole bunch of stuff that I won't advertise or that I'll advertise and won't advertise that allows me to get an early warning advantage to where I have enough time to reach over, unlock, insert the magazine, and go to work. I also have a set of night vision. Now, these are PVS 31 White Foss NVGs tied to an OpScore ballistic helmet with ear protection. But why would I have that? Well, it's because I have a little bit of land here. It's not because I think that I'm going to have to use an infrared laser and nods or NVGs to do a home defense exercise in my home. It's the layout of my home, I know. The sounds in my home, I know. It's my home. But if I go out and I am notified by one of my cameras or one of my sensors that something's going on in the yard, which I have had this happen before, likely it's an animal, including coyotes, that like to mill around my chicken coop in my backyard, then I like the early warning, but I want to have solutions. One solution is just not running out there with a white light, scanning and searching for a coyote. Why would I want the tactical disadvantage? I have the means because of the equipment and the training to be able to use this at my disposal. A couple things. One, my home defense setup, I have a suppressor because this is a Dave Mods macro. The macro is the one that has the compensated front end, but this is the 365 macro. And then Dave Mods did a gun swell. I don't know if you could see this. Let's put this in focus without flagging my head. Bam, look at that. He put a palm swell as a custom addition to his custom version of this. I don't even know if he makes it right now. But if you look at the size difference, very significant. But not a lot of accessory space on this. have plenty of accessory space on this, and do not use your compact pistol for your home defense pistol. Now, if you're on a budget, certainly, but again, I'm not looking for tactical disadvantage. I'm looking for tactical advantage. So I have the light, I have the red dot, and I have the suppressor. A suppressor, I don't want to blow my eardrums out. I want to be able to still communicate to my children, not shoot the firearm and blast their eardrums into a sympathetic nervous response. I need to be able to shoot, move, and communicate, and we forget often that we don't run ear protection in home defense. I mean, I likely will, depending on the amount of time I have, because I have Peltors. Also, I'm running a white light. I want a white light tethered to my gun. Most of the time for carry, I don't run one more so because I'll use like a cloud defensive tactical handheld, and then I'll keep this separate because I use a white light more for utility than I do in self-defense. Most often, I'm at home when it's dark because I don't like to be out past dark because I have children. I have to give them a bath. I have to feed them. I have to put them to bed. That's where I prefer to be. Lastly, I run a red dot. I am converting to a red dot. It's one of the reasons why I chose this staccato. I'm running a 320 max red dot, and then I'm running the staccato red dot for the range for carry optics competition. I talked to Tony Pignato from Staccato. Go figure. That sounds amazing. With a red dot P limited, I believe this is the P limited option, the 2011, because I could use this in a new limited production. Sorry, I'm screwing that up. New limited class for USPSA that they're going to notify, maybe even if notify if that's going to work or not. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I just know Tony said, hey, this would be a perfect platform for that new limited version if they're going to allow that to be a factory option, which it certainly should be because they're upscaling all of their production in it. Also, separating the magazine from the gun. I do have hidden firearms in the house in different setups and systems that allow you access via biometrics. But in my home, in my room, I also lock doors between me and where you would have access. My kids sleep in the same room as I do. They have their own rooms, but they sleep in my room right now until they're older. I also have 2 doors between me and entering my front door. So I have my front door, that's one door. I have another door, and then I have another door beyond that. So I have 3 different ways to mitigate risk to my life and my children's life at night when I'm most vulnerable to be able to get the tactical advantage in self-defense. I have enough time to get to my magazine, and I certainly would not take the risk with children under a certain age. Now, when my kids get older, they're more developed, they're more experienced with firearms, then we will think about doing something different. But for now, it's separating ammunition from guns. Even when I come home with my fanny pack, my pistol, I lock and clear my pistol, put the pistol back in, insert the magazine. Because my kids, when I hand them this 365 macro, cannot chamber a round. And that's important because I don't want my kids to be able to chamber a round. Okay? So little pro tips for self-defense. Just wanted to give you that advice on my setup and how I run it. Guys, prep life is very enjoyable to me. I love your feedback. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification tab, and leave us your comments down below and let us know what you want to do. My Patreon is where I answer direct questions and also have the opportunity to do a lot of distilled content. Make sure you check it out at patreon.com/Mike Glover. Until next time, peace out, guys.